Many years ago, during the Great Recession, or actually toward the tail end of the Great Recession, I had a debate with several of my classmates. I was working on my PhD, and I think the same debate applies even better today, given the crisis here in 2020. So this is a timeless piece of advice that has applied for at least 12 years in my life now. My classmates were commenting about my choice of healthy diet, right? This is some, here I have some green tea that I'm drinking, my favorite baking chocolate, among other things, and then the intermittent fasting that I'm doing, right? So every day I fast at least 14 to 15 hours, sometimes more. And my classmates were commenting on that. And they told me that they wish they could eat healthier, they can't afford it. And they used the word afford. But okay, at first I sympathized with them, but I spent a lot of time with my classmates, right? And I would watch them put their life savings into the vending machine. They would always have McDonald's on their table. And aside from food, they were doing a lot of things that I would put food ahead of, right? So I talked about yesterday how a couple weeks ago Donald Trump was chiding all these college students for going on spring break to Florida during the middle of this problem, right? I don't think it's terribly unhealthy, but it's certainly inconsiderate, given how much people are panicking at the moment. But at the same time, I would put healthy foods ahead of all that, right? I would love to go to Florida one day. I haven't gone there yet, but healthy foods comes first, right? Okay, so my classmates said that they couldn't afford to eat healthy. I mean, yes, I understand there are people who have barriers to eating healthy foods. They don't like the taste of it. They don't like the inconvenience or having to cook. They would rather watch American Idol. Yes, I get it. What I wish people would do was to honestly say that, right? I'd rather watch American Idol than to cook healthy foods, right? Because if you say that, you'll at least actually weigh the options, right? Imagine I had trouble sleeping. And the reason I had trouble sleeping was because, let's say I'm a truck driver and I'm spending 18, 19 hours on the highway and I don't allocate enough time for sleep. Okay, that's my problem. Now imagine I told you I need to take sleeping pills, right? And I took lots of sleeping pills, but I continued to drive the truck 18 or 19 hours. That would not solve the problem, right? The problem is I'm not allocating enough hours to sleep, right? Similarly, my classmates who would rather go to Florida, they would rather watch TV, they like the taste of McDonald's. If they had listed all that out, I think they would have gone much further than what they're saying, right? It boggles the mind, right? I see people claim that they live in a food desert when they're perfectly healthy. They really could use the exercise. And there's a grocery store like half a mile to a mile away, right? Maybe they don't have a car, but they're not disabled or anything. There's public transportation, and they just don't want to think outside the box, right? Maybe they grew up, with parents who always ate fast food, and they're boxed in, right? But they say they can't afford to eat healthier, and they're spending 5 times as much eating the fast food, right? But here in 2020, I want you to Google a map of who is ill right now in April of 2020, and look at the countries involved. The only countries that are ill are the countries who can actually afford to poison themselves, right? The United States, China, Japan, Western Europe, Canada, right? What do they all have in common? They constantly poison themselves, right? Look at Africa, much more densely packed. They don't have the luxury of separating 6 feet from one another. They have to sleep within 6 feet of one another, and they're perfectly, or at least considerably healthier right now, right? So I sometimes see on social media people post that you're inconsiderate for leaving your home, right? I think you're inconsiderate for damaging your immune system to the point that you've become a vector for not only the one disease, but for all sorts of diseases, right? Think about it this way, right? Because a good subset of the population wants to eat junk food, every one of us has to stay home now, right? Think about all the lost income, not only the lost income, but the lost experiences, right? What's our life expectancy right now? About 80 years. If we lose like half a year or even a quarter of a year, right? That's a lot of experiences we lose just so a number of people have the luxury of eating junk food. Right? That's a very selfish act, in my opinion, right? I mean, if you don't want to save money and eat healthier and taste better, at least think about everybody else, right? Just like you think about everybody else when you stay 6 feet away from everyone, right? I like that rule, by the way. I hope after this problem is over, people still continue to give each other 6 feet of space, at the grocery store, at the bank, or just out in public, right? I like that rule. I hope we can go back to the shopping mall soon, but I hope we could stay 6 feet apart, right? Anyways, something to ponder about, right? I can understand a lot of people have barriers to eating healthy foods, but tell yourself honestly why you're not eating healthier, and then actually weigh the options, right? Thanks for watching.